Hello and welcome to English Spark Official. I'm Zayden, joined as always by Alara.
Hey everyone! We're so excited about today's topic.
What if the reason you feel lost learning a new language isn't because the language is too hard, but because you're measuring your progress completely wrong?
Yeah, that is a really powerful question. And honestly, it's the exact problem so many people face every single day.
Right, you know the feeling. Usually when people decide to learn something new, like, I don't know, playing the guitar or speaking a new language like English, there's this big wave of excitement.
Oh, totally. A huge wave.
You go to the store, you buy a brand new notebook, you sit down at your desk, you open up the blank page, and you just feel, completely ready to change your life.
It feels like a fresh start. You have all this energy. You tell yourself, I am going to study for 3 hours every single day.
But then a few weeks pass, and the excitement, well, it slowly fades away. You look at that new notebook, and it's still mostly blank.
Yeah, life gets in the way.
Exactly. You try to speak or you try to listen to a movie, and you suddenly think, wait, am I actually getting better? Am I moving forward at all?
It's a terrible feeling. It feels like you're walking through a thick, heavy fog. You literally cannot see where you're going.
Yeah, you're trying really hard, but you can't see your feet. You can't see the path in front of you. It's a very lonely feeling, honestly.
It is, but the really good news is you don't have to feel that way.
And that brings us to our mission today. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are looking at a really fascinating guide from English Spark Official. The title of the guide is Fluency Benchmarks, Tracking Your Progress Like a Pro.
It's a wonderful guide, highly practical. It's specifically designed to take you right out of that fog.
Because learning something new, especially a language, can feel completely overwhelming. It just feels way too big to handle.
Right.
So our goal today is to take the rules from this English Spark guide and show you how to track your personal progress step by step. We're going to look at very simple, everyday methods to help you actually see your growth.
And before we jump into that first step, I want to set a really clear rule for our conversation today.
Okay, what's the rule?
We are keeping things very, very simple today. We are speaking directly to you, the listener. Specifically, we are thinking about learners who are moving from basic knowledge, what we call the A2 level, and trying to reach the intermediate level, which is B2.
Oh, that is such an important bridge to cross. It's the bridge between, just knowing a few vocabulary words and actually having a real living conversation.
Exactly. Because of that specific focus, we will completely avoid any complex academic jargon today.
Oh, let's pause right there, actually. What does academic jargon mean for anyone who might not know?
Good catch. So jargon basically means difficult words that only experts use. It means complicated school words or confusing science terms.
Oh, got it.
We will not use them. If we do introduce a word that is slightly difficult, we'll stop and explain it simply, using normal everyday English. We want this to feel like a friendly chat.
I love that. I think that takes so much pressure off.
Yeah.
So to you, listening to us right now, by the end of this deep dive, you will have simple daily life tools. You will know how to measure exactly how much you are learning, and you will not have to feel lost in that fog ever again.
You'll have a clear map.
Yeah, a map out of the fog. So let's start with the title of the guide. It talks about mastering fluency benchmarks.
Right.
It promises to help you track your progress like a pro, which just means like a professional. But that word benchmark is the whole foundation of this method. We should probably explain it.
We definitely should. Benchmark is the most important word we will use today. Simply put, a benchmark is a clear marker. It's a specific goalpost.
Like in sports.
Yeah, or think of a long race on a road. A benchmark is a clear sign on the side of the road. When you run past it, the sign tells you exactly how many miles you have run. It shows you your exact location.
So it gives you a true fact. It's not just a feeling of, oh, I think I ran far. It's a concrete fact.
Right, it is a fact. And many learners fail because they rely on vague goals. A vague goal means a goal that is not clear. It's blurry. People say things like, I want to be good at English.
Oh, I am totally guilty of that. I say things like, I want to sound like a native speaker this year. But, how do you even measure that?
You can't. You cannot measure it because it is way too big. A benchmark is completely different. A benchmark is a small, specific, measurable step. At the end of the day, you can look at your benchmark and say, yes, I did that one small thing, or no, I did not do it. There's no guessing involved.
This makes me wonder why tracking progress is so hard for most of us. Like, why do we naturally choose those big, vague goals?
It's human nature, I think.
Is it because we usually try to measure the whole ocean instead of just measuring like 1 cup of water at a time?
Oh, that is a brilliant way to picture it. Yeah, measuring the ocean is impossible. The ocean never ends. The waves just keep moving and changing.
Right. If you stand on the beach and stare at the whole ocean, you just feel small and scared.
Exactly. When you say, I want to be fluent, you are looking at the ocean. We need to focus on measuring just 1 single cup of water.
Because 1 cup of water is something you can actually hold in your hands. You can see it clearly. You can drink it.
Exactly. Let's look at a simple example from daily life to explain how a real benchmark feels. Think about being a child and wanting to grow taller.
Oh man, waiting to grow up feels like it takes forever when you're a kid.
It really does. When you are a child, your goal is, I want to be tall like my parents. But you don't grow a foot like 12 whole inches in 1 single day.
Right, you don't go to sleep small and wake up wearing adult shoes.
No, it's a very, very slow process. So what do families do to measure this slow growth?
Oh, they use a wall. I remember this perfectly from my childhood.
Yes.
We had this wooden door frame in our kitchen, and my parents would make me stand up very straight against the wood with my back flat. Then they would take a pencil and draw a small line flat against the top of my head.
Yes, exactly. They draw a small pencil line. And then what happens the next day? Do you look taller in the mirror?
No, not at all. The next day, I was exactly the same. Even a whole week later, I looked exactly the same.
But a month later, or maybe 2 months later, your parents make you stand against that same kitchen wall again. They draw another pencil line. The change is tiny.
Yeah, maybe it's just half a centimeter.
Right. But you step away from the wall and you look at those 2 lines.
And you can physically see the space between the first line and the second line.
You see the empty space. And that empty space between the pencil lines is visual proof that you are growing. Tracking your language progress is just like drawing those small pencil lines on the wall.
Wow. Yeah.
You cannot see your English improving if you just look in the mirror every day. You need a simple mark to prove it to your brain.
That makes the concept so real for me. If we just trust our daily feelings, we will always feel like we are failing. Just because learning is slow, we need the pencil line to show us the truth.
100%.
So what is our pencil line for learning English? The English Spark Guide starts with the most basic tracking method possible, right?
It really is the simplest method. The guide tells you to keep a basic notebook. You don't need a complicated phone app. You don't need a heavy computer program with, charts and graphs.
Just paper and pen.
Just paper and pen. And every day that you practice your English, even if it is just for 5 minutes, you open the notebook and you put a simple check mark on the page.
A check mark. Just a simple to say done.
Just a check mark.
Wow.
It takes 1 second to draw, but why is it so powerful? Because it's visual.
Right.
You can see it with your own eyes. If you look at your notebook and see 5 check marks in a row for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you feel a real sense of victory.
It's undeniable proof. You really can't argue with 5 check marks.
That row of check marks is your pencil line on the wall. It proves you are showing up. It proves you're putting the work in, even on the days when the fog feels heavy.
Okay, so I have my notebook. I am ready to draw my check marks. I understand why we need small benchmarks to avoid drowning in the overwhelming ocean.
Good.
But what are we actually tracking? Like, what is the very first practice method the English Spark Guide tells us to do?
So the guide has strict rules for how to practice. It breaks learning down into very specific steps. The very first rule is all about speaking practice. To improve your speaking, the guide requires you to use a technique called shadowing.
Shadowing. Okay, let's explain that word for a second. In daily life, a shadow is the dark shape on the ground that follows you when you walk in the sun.
That is the perfect picture. Think about how your shadow acts. When you walk forward, your shadow moves forward at the exact same time.
Right.
When you stop, your shadow stops immediately. It copies your every move.
It stays right beside you no matter what.
Exactly. In language learning, shadowing means listening to someone speak English and then immediately saying the exact same words out loud. You follow their voice, just like a shadow follows a body.
So basically, the guide says we must listen to audio that says, repeat after me.
Yes. You hear a native speaker say a short sentence, then the audio provides a short pause. A pause is just a brief moment of quiet, empty time.
Right.
The native speaker stops talking. And the quiet time gives you, the learner, the space to practice saying the words out loud. You fill the pause with your own voice.
You know, I have a real struggle with this kind of practice.
Oh, yeah. Why is that?
I've tried audio programs where a voice says a sentence and then there's a beep and I have to repeat it. and I always feel incredibly silly.
A lot of people feel that way.
I just feel like a parrot in a cage. I just repeat sounds without really understanding the deep meaning of the sentence. How does simply saying words out loud actually help someone learn a language deeply?
That is a very common frustration. Many learners feel silly or fake when they do this. But you are not being a parrot.
I'm not.
No. When a parrot repeats a word, it is just making noise. It doesn't learn the structure of the language. When a human shadows a sentence, they are building something entirely different. They are building muscle memory.
Muscle memory. Let's break that down. Are we talking about the actual physical muscles in the body, like the muscles you use to lift a heavy box?
Yes, physical muscles. Many people completely forget that speaking a language is a physical sport.
Yeah.
Your mouth, your tongue, your lips, your throat, they are all muscles. When you grew up speaking your first language, you trained those muscles to move in very specific patterns.
So my mouth is trained perfectly for my native language.
Exactly. But English requires your mouth to make completely different shapes. It requires your tongue to hit the back of your teeth in totally new ways. Your muscles literally do not know how to make those English sounds yet.
Oh, wow. So it's not just my brain trying to remember a vocabulary word. My mouth is actually struggling to do the physical work.
Your mouth is struggling. When you shadow a speaker, you are taking your mouth to the gym. You are training the muscles to move correctly. Let's look at another daily life example to show how powerful muscle memory really is.
Okay, I love examples.
Think about driving in your car and turning on the radio.
Okay, the radio is playing music.
Right. Imagine you hear a brand new pop song for the very first time. You really like the beat, but you have no idea what the singer is saying. Do you try to sing along perfectly the first time you hear it?
No way. The music is way too fast.
Well, what do you do instead?
I usually just mumble. I make humming noises. Maybe I catch one loud word in the chorus and I just shout that one word.
You mumble. That is the first step of shadowing. Now imagine you hear that exact same song on the radio the next day and the next day. After you listen to the song and try to sing along 10 times, what happens?
Oh, well, by the 10th time, I know the whole song. I know the fast parts. I know the slow parts. I can sing every single word while I'm driving, and I'm not even thinking about it. The words just fly out of my mouth.
The words fly out of your mouth without thinking. That is the exact definition of muscle memory. Your mouth learns the song. You shadowed the singer until your physical muscles knew exactly what to do. Shadowing an English speaker works the exact same way.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
So when I try to repeat an English sentence on Monday and I stumble and make a horrible mistake, I shouldn't feel like a stupid parrot.
Not at all.
I should just say, oh, this is my first time hearing the song. I am just mumbling the chorus today.
That is the perfect attitude to have. First, you mumble. Then you catch the rhythm. Finally, it sounds totally natural. You are a singer learning a new song. You are not a machine.
This changes how I look at speaking practice completely. But we still need a benchmark. How do I measure this? I can't measure muscle memory with a ruler. How do I put a check mark in my notebook for shadowing?
The English Spark Guide gives a very simple tracking method for this. You just count.
Count what?
You count how many times you can shadow a sentence without making a mistake and stopping. Or, even easier, you just count how many words you can say clearly in one breath.
Okay, let's do a real example. Let's pretend I am listening to an audio clip right now.
Okay. You listen to the speaker say, "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog."
And then the pause happens. And I try to shadow it. I say, the quick brown... Oh, wait, what was the next word? And I had to stop. I only got 3 words out.
3 words. That is your reality today. There is no shame in it whatsoever. You open your notebook and you write the number 3. That is your starting line.
So I have my baseline. Then tomorrow, I practice the exact same sentence again. My mouth muscles remembered a little bit better this time. The audio plays. The pause happens. And this time I say, the quick brown fox jumps. And then I stumble.
You said 5 words before you stumbled. You look at your notebook. Yesterday you wrote a 3. Today you write a 5.
Going from 3 words to 5 words.
That empty space between the 3 and the 5 is your pencil line on the wall. It is measurable progress. You did not become fluent overnight, but you took a real, solid step forward. You hit a simple benchmark.
That is so encouraging. It makes the practice feel like a game where you are just trying to beat your own high score from yesterday.
Exactly.
You don't need a teacher to grade you. You just count the words.
It puts you in control. It gives you control over your own learning.
But speaking is only one half of the conversation. It's great if my mouth can make the sounds. But what happens when the other person replies?
That's the tricky part.
Understanding native speakers when they talk fast is honestly one of the most frightening things for a language learner. This brings us to the next section of the English Spark Guide, which focuses entirely on listening.
Yes. Listening is a completely different skill than speaking, and the guide is very strict about how you must practice listening. It says you must use listening focus cues.
Okay.
The guide says this is mandatory. Mandatory means it is not a choice. You are required to do it.
Listening focus cues. Let's look at the word cue for a second. A cue is a signal, right? It's a sign that tells you what is going to happen next. Like a red light on a road is a cue to stop.
Yes, a cue is a signal for your brain. The guide uses focus cues because it wants to stop you from doing passive listening.
What does passive listening look like?
Passive listening is when you put on an English podcast while you are cooking dinner and you just let the sound wash over you. You hear the noise, but you are not really paying attention to it.
Like having the radio on while driving.
Exactly. Or having a television on in the background while you sleep. You are not working. Your brain is relaxed.
And the guide doesn't want us relaxed.
The guide wants active focus. Active focus requires energy. But to prevent you from getting tired too quickly, the guide gives you a cue before you listen.
Can you give me an example of a focus cue from the guide?
Sure. A good focus cue sounds like this. Before you press play on the audio clip, a voice tells you, listen carefully to find out the reason the man is angry. Or listen carefully to hear what time the train is leaving.
Oh, so you tell the brain exactly what to search for before the noise even starts.
You give the brain a clear mission.
I understand why this is so helpful. When I listen to an English news report without any preparation, my brain tries to translate every single word.
Which is exhausting.
It is. I try to understand the first word, and while I am translating it in my head, the speaker has already said 10 more words. I get totally lost. I feel completely overwhelmed.
That is called cognitive overload. Your brain only has a small amount of energy. If you try to catch everything, your battery dies immediately.
Using a focus cue feels like looking for a friend at an incredibly crowded train station.
Let's expand on that. Paint the picture of the train station for us.
Imagine you are at the biggest train station in a major city, like Grand Central Station in New York, during rush hour.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There are thousands of people everywhere. People running, people dragging heavy bags, people shouting. It is just chaos.
It is a massive wall of noise and movement.
If you walk into that station and try to look at every single face and look at every single bag and listen to every conversation, your eyes will hurt. Your head will spin. You will definitely fail to find your friend.
Because you are trying to process the whole ocean.
Right. But what if your friend sent you a text message right before you arrived? And the message said, I am wearing a bright neon red hat.
The red hat is your focus cue.
Yes. The moment you know about the red hat, everything in the train station changes. You do not look at faces anymore. You do not look at suitcases.
You're about that.
Right. You let all those details become blurry. Your eyes just scan the crowd, searching for one single color, red.
The job goes from impossible to very, very easy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You ignore 99% of the room to find the 1% that actually matters.
That is a wonderful analogy. Let's use another daily life example that relates directly to listening to sounds. Think about waiting at a busy, noisy airport.
Airports are exhausting. There are announcements ringing on the speakers every 5 minutes.
Yes. You hear a loud voice echo through the terminal. Flight 202 to London is now boarding at Gate 4. Flight 714 to Tokyo has been delayed due to weather. It's a constant stream of information.
Yeah.
But you are traveling on Flight 404 to Paris.
Okay, Flight 404.
In real life, when you are reading your book at the airport, do you try to memorize the information about the London flight? Do you care why the Tokyo flight is delayed?
No, not at all. I tune it out completely. I just read my book until I hear the number 404, then my head immediately snaps up.
Your brain naturally filters out the noise. Your flight number is your focus cue. In language learning, listening to a 2-minute English story feels just like that noisy airport. It is too much information.
Right.
But if the exercise tells you, listen for the color of the car, then the color of the car is your flight number.
That is such a relief. Instead of feeling guilty that I didn't understand the whole story about the car, I can celebrate because I heard the word blue.
Yes, you heard blue. You found the red hat. You heard Flight 404. You completed the mission.
This makes listening practice so much less stressful. But how do we track this? Listening happens quietly inside my head. I can't count the words I speak, like I did with the shadowing technique. How do I put a check mark in my notebook for listening?
The English Spark Guide provides the benchmark for this too. It mentions using small, interactive questions. You track your listening by asking yourself one simple question after the audio finishes.
Just one question.
Just one question. You finish listening to the audio clip, and you ask yourself something basic. For example, what was the main topic? Or was the speaker feeling happy or feeling sad?
So if I listen to a short podcast about someone buying a car, I don't understand the beginning and I don't understand the end. But right in the middle, I hear the word expensive. And I realize they're talking about money.
If you ask yourself, what was the main topic, and you answer buying a car, you have succeeded.
That is 100% success.
It is 100% success. You hit your benchmark. You did not measure the ocean of words. You measured your single cup of water.
Wow.
You answered the interactive question, so you get to draw a check mark in your notebook today.
I really love how these methods protect my energy. We use shadowing to train our mouth muscles safely. We use focus cues to protect our brain from noise.
They are very protective methods.
But I do have a big concern. We are trying to reach the B2 intermediate level. Eventually, the words will stop being simple. The words will get harder.
The words will absolutely get harder. You cannot stay at the easy level forever.
So what do we do when the vocabulary gets tough? This brings us to the next strict rule from the English Spark Guide. It focuses on how we build our vocabulary.
Let's read the rule directly from the guide. It dictates: start with simple vocabulary, then gradually increase difficulty. Any difficult word must be explained naturally in conversation.
Let's focus on the word gradually.
Gradually is a very important concept here. It means moving forward step by step, very slowly, very smoothly. You do not jump from knowing basic words like apple and dog to reading complex science textbooks in one day.
It is like climbing a staircase.
Yes, the staircase of vocabulary. You must walk up the staircase one single step at a time. If you try to skip 5 steps at once, you will fall backwards.
I have definitely fallen down that staircase. Sometimes I try to watch a very dramatic, advanced English movie and I realize I don't know 50% of the words.
That happens a lot.
And here is my bad habit. When I hit a word I don't know, my brain panics. I immediately pause the movie, I grab my phone, I open my dictionary app, and I look up the translation.
Ah, yes.
But by the time I understand the word, I have completely lost the emotion to the movie.
That is the trap that millions of learners fall into. They think the dictionary is their best friend, but the dictionary constantly stops the natural flow of the language.
So if I hit a hard word, how do I find out what it means without stopping? The guide says the word must be explained naturally. What does that actually mean?
The English Spark method demands that we explain difficult words using the simple words around them. We use the conversation itself as the dictionary. Let's think about putting together a jigsaw puzzle to explain how this works.
A jigsaw puzzle, like a big picture broken into 1,000 tiny cardboard pieces. I love puzzles.
Think about the moment you open a new puzzle. You dump all the pieces out on the table. It looks like a huge mess. How do you start building it? Do you search for the most complicated, difficult pieces with confusing colors that belong in the very middle of the picture?
Never. That would take forever. You always start with the edge pieces, the easy pieces that have one straight, flat side.
You build the border first.
Yes, you find the 4 corners, and you connect all the straight edge pieces together to make a solid frame. Once you have the frame, it is much easier to fill in the middle.
That is exactly how vocabulary works. The easy edge pieces of the puzzle are your basic A2 vocabulary. The simple words you already know, like weather, coat, and cold. You use those simple words to build a strong frame in your mind.
Okay, so I have my frame of simple words.
Then, a difficult word appears in the conversation. The difficult word is a confusing middle piece of the puzzle. You do not need to pull out a dictionary to solve it. You use the strong frame of easy words to guess where the difficult piece fits. We call this using context.
Let's quickly define context for our listeners.
Context basically means the situation or the environment around a word. It's the simple words holding the difficult word in place. Let's do a live example right now.
I am ready. Give me a puzzle to solve.
Imagine we are having a normal conversation and I say to you, the weather outside is incredibly frigid today, so I had to put on a thick winter coat, a wool hat, and heavy gloves before I left the house.
Okay. Let's look at the pieces of that sentence. The difficult middle piece of the puzzle is the word frigid. I have no idea what frigid means. It sounds strange.
But look at your edge pieces. Look at the context.
The easy edge pieces are thick winter coat, wool hat, and heavy gloves. I know all those words perfectly.
So using those easy pieces, what kind of weather requires a thick coat and heavy gloves?
You must be very cold weather, freezing weather.
You just solved the puzzle. Frigid means extremely cold. You did not stop our conversation. You did not look at your phone. You did not use a dictionary. You used the simple words to explain the hard word naturally. Oh, that feels so much better. The conversation stays alive. The flow does not stop. I feel like a detective solving a mystery using clues.
And because you solved the mystery yourself, using your own brain, you will remember the word frigid much longer than if you just read it on a screen.
That makes perfect sense. But again, we need our benchmark. How do I track this vocabulary growth? I need my pencil line on the wall for learning new words.
The guide suggests a fantastic method for tracking vocabulary. You keep a special list in your notebook called a found words list.
Found words. That makes it sound like a treasure hunt.
It is a treasure hunt. Throughout your day while you're listening to audio or reading an article, you look for puzzles to solve. When you successfully figure out a difficult word using context, just like you figured out frigid, you open your notebook.
Right.
And you write that single word down on your found words list.
Do I try to write down 20 words a day?
Nope, 20 words is the ocean. We want the cup of water. You just write down one new difficult word that you figured out today. Just one word.
One single word seems almost too easy. It is easy, which means you will actually do it. But think about the math. If you find one word a day and write it on your list, that is your daily benchmark. In 1 year, you will have a list of 365 difficult, advanced words that you learned naturally.
Wow. 365 new words is a massive amount of vocabulary. That is enough to completely change how I speak.
It pushes you right into the B2 level, and you did it by taking one small step on the staircase every single day.
Looking back at a list of 365 words in my own handwriting would feel amazing. It is permanent proof of my progress. So we have built a really strong foundation today. We know how to track with a check mark.
Yes.
We practice shadowing for muscle memory. We use focus cues to listen without getting tired. And we solve puzzles to learn new words naturally.
All of these methods are tools, but what are we building with these tools? What is the final destination?
This leads us to the final and perhaps most surprising rule in the entire English Spark Guide. This rule tells us what true fluency actually looks like.
We are stepping out of the classroom entirely for this final rule.
Let me read what the guide stresses. It says, the ultimate result of all our practice must be a natural, human-like conversation. And the guide uses capital letters here to yell at us. It says, not robotic, not textbook.
Right.
It tells learners to embrace interruptions, reactions, agreement, and to use light humor.
This rule is all about escaping the textbook. Let me make a very bold statement because it's the core of this whole method. The ultimate benchmark of fluency, the final goal you are working toward, is not perfect grammar.
Wow. That goes against everything I learned in school. In school, grammar was the only thing that mattered. If you used the wrong verb tense, you failed the test.
Grammar is a helpful tool, yes, but it is not the final goal. The final goal of a language is sounding like a living, breathing human being. Textbooks teach you to sound like a machine. They teach robotic sentences.
What does a robotic sentence sound like?
A textbook teaches you a script. It teaches you to stand up straight and say, "Hello, how are you today? I am fine, thank you. And how are you?"
I am laughing because I sounded exactly like that when I first tried to learn Spanish. I was so afraid of making a mistake. I would freeze my body, stare at the person, and deliver my perfect sentence like a robot. I had no emotion at all.
Everyone starts that way. But real human beings do not talk like robots. Real human conversations are messy. They are imperfect. People do not wait for you to finish a perfect paragraph before they speak.
That is true. Real people jump in and interrupt you.
Yes, they interrupt politely. While you are telling a story, a real human will suddenly say, "Wait, really?" or "No way." They react with strong emotion. They hear bad news and say, "Oh, wow, that is terrible."
Right.
They agree with you by saying, "Exactly," or "Yeah, me too."
This completely changes how I view my mistakes.
Yeah.
It means that if I mess up a grammar rule, but I laugh about it with the person I'm talking to, that is actually a success.
It is a huge success. You connected with them on a human level. Let's compare two different situations from daily life to show why being messy is better than being perfect. First, think about a formal speech inside a serious courtroom.
Okay, a courtroom. There's a judge in a black robe. Everyone is quiet. A lawyer is standing at the front of the room holding a piece of paper.
The room is completely silent. The lawyer reads from the paper. Every single word is pronounced perfectly. The grammar is flawless. Nobody interrupts. Nobody laughs. It is highly formal.
It is technically perfect English,
Yeah.
but it is incredibly stiff. It feels cold.
It is cold. Now, compare that courtroom to sitting with your neighbor at a warm, crowded coffee shop.
That is a totally different feeling.
Describe the coffee shop conversation.
Well, there is music playing in the background. The espresso machine is making loud noises. You are drinking coffee. Maybe you accidentally spill a little bit of sugar on the table and you both laugh.
Right.
Your neighbor starts telling a story about their dog and you interrupt them to say, oh, my dog does the exact same thing. You talk over each other. You use your hands.
Are you using perfect grammar in the coffee shop?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
I am probably using half sentences and making small jokes.
That messy, warm, friendly chat in the coffee shop is the ultimate goal of the English Spark method. They want you to leave the cold, perfect courtroom behind. They want you to sit in the coffee shop and have human reactions.
That takes so much pressure off the learner. So many people feel defeated because they cannot speak like the lawyer in the courtroom. But you are saying the coffee shop conversation is the real victory.
The coffee shop is the true victory.
So how do I track this? How do I put a check mark on being human and messy? I cannot count the number of words like I did with shadowing. What is the benchmark for natural conversation?
The benchmark for this is very simple and very beautiful. Your benchmark is just this. Did I make someone smile during a conversation today?
Making someone smile is the benchmark.
That is the test. Or you can ask yourself, did I say, yeah, me too, naturally while my friend was talking? Did I use a quick natural reaction instead of a long textbook sentence?
If I manage to laugh together with someone in English, I get to put a check mark in my notebook. That is the best pencil line on the wall we have talked about yet. Making a real human connection is why we want to learn the language in the first place.
It really is.
This has been an incredibly eye-opening journey. Let's smoothly recap all the simple steps we pulled from this English Spark Guide. Let's remind everyone of the tools they now have in their toolbox.
Let's review the map out of the fog.
First, we learned about the power of a benchmark. We agreed to stop looking at the scary ocean and start measuring 1 cup of water. We use clear, small steps, just like parents drawing small pencil lines on a wall to prove to a child that they're growing taller.
Second, we changed how we view speaking practice. We use the shadowing technique. We are not repeating words like a mindless bird. We are building real muscle memory in our mouths, just like mumbling along to a new song on the radio until we can sing every word perfectly.
Third, we tackled listening. We don't try to understand every single noise in the busy airport terminal. We protect our energy. We use focus cues to search for our specific flight number. We scan the crowded train station just looking for the red hat.
Fourth, we explored the staircase of vocabulary. We start with simple words to build a strong frame. We do not stop conversations to read a dictionary. We treat difficult words like the middle pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, and we use the easy edge pieces, the context, to solve the mystery. And we write 1 found word a day in our notebook.
And finally, we learn to escape the textbook. We leave the cold perfection of the courtroom, and we embrace the warm, messy reality of the coffee shop. We focus on real human reactions, polite interruptions, and making people smile.
And the most important thing for everyone listening to remember, tracking your progress does not require complex software or perfect grades. A simple check mark drawn in a paper notebook. A single question answered correctly. 1 new word found on a treasure hunt. Or 1 natural laugh shared with a friend. These are the best benchmarks you can have. They are absolute proof that you are moving forward.
So as we wrap up this deep dive today, I want to leave you with a final thought, something for you to think about as you go to sleep tonight. Think about your daily routine tomorrow morning.
What is 1 small step you can take tomorrow?
Think about 1 simple conversation you will have tomorrow. Maybe it is going to the bakery to buy a loaf of bread. Maybe it is simply saying good morning to a coworker when you arrive at your job. I want you to try to shadow that specific conversation in your mind before it happens. Think about the natural rhythm. Plan a human reaction. Find your small benchmark for tomorrow and draw your next pencil line on the wall.
Draw that pencil line. You'll be amazed at how much you grow.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep drawing those lines, keep looking for the red hats, and enjoy your time in the coffee shop. We will talk to you next time.
Keep taking those small steps forward.
Bye for now.